first, welcome. Welcome to lunchtime chair yoga. And we're gonna start so that you can sit up. So if your chair kind of leans back, this is just a dining room chair for me. So sitting closer to the edge because it's a little on the tall side for my legs helps. And then find the weight of your body in your sit bones so that you can get your spine neutral and your pelvis neutral. And then we're just gonna let our shoulders relax. You can place your palms up or down. This is called the mudra of calm abiding, with the palms resting on the knees. And I like it when I need to sort of quiet my mind. So try to breathe nice and deep. So you're breathing way down into the deep belly. And as you exhale, just feel yourself relaxing and letting go, maybe relaxing the tension out of the face and the head or the scalp. Sometimes I find myself, especially if I'm on my computer, kind of carrying tension around the eyes and right in these muscles here. And so allowing those muscles to relax. Relax tension out of your jaw and around the lips. We'll do 2 more breaths like that. And you're going to drop your chin and try not to fold forward when you drop your chin. Keep your spine mostly neutral and erect, and then you're going to roll your head up and over one shoulder. Now you can go all the way to the back. For me, that feels a little crunchy, so I just go to the point where I feel this stretch right there along that muscle, and then roll yourself back to the center. I like to do both sides at once, so just go one and then the other, rather than doing just one side. So just go back and forth, and along the way you may feel tension in certain areas, like right there I can feel it, so you might pause with that spot and then continue the roll, and go slow enough to allow yourself time to respond to the sensation of stretch, and at a pace that doesn't feel too slow. If it feels like you're straining, you can move a little bit faster. Just a nice gentle back and forth. So we're gonna do that 2 more times. So 1, and 2. And as you do this last round, notice any places that feel tight along the side of the neck. We're going to come back to those in just a moment. So doing the other side, you may find that one side of your neck is a little different than the other. Okay, so when you come back to the center, we're going to lift the head, and then we're going to let an ear drop over, and you're going to move your chin up or down until you feel wherever that sensation was. So for me, it's really right on the side of the neck. For you, it could be a little forward or a little back. Then we're going to take that opposite arm. So my head's going to my left. This is my right arm. So I'm going to drop my right arm off to the side. And I'm not pulling. I'm just allowing gravity to help me lengthen out that spot that I found that was a little bit tender. So 1 more breath. And then I like to help myself, so I just put a little bit of support there as I bring my head back up. See if there's a difference between this relationship of head to shoulder and this one. And I would swear to you that this shoulder's a little lower. So we're gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna give my head a little movement. Then I'm gonna drop my head out to the side, and I'm gonna gently roll the head back and forth until I find there's a nice spot to start with. So I'm gonna drop the opposite arm off. Let gravity do its work. It's doing work on me anyway. I might as well harness the power. And breathe. Okay, 1 more. And then allow your arm to come back, put your head back, and then notice. Ooh, now that feels more even for me. So we're going to take the shoulders into some circles, so up, around, and back. Oh. So the arms are kind of along for the ride. We're really trying to get the shoulder blades to move around, kind of squeeze together, pull around the edges and move it forward, and then go the other direction. So you're going to take the shoulders together, up and forward, or whatever you weren't doing last time. Both directions. Oh. All right, one more time, and then we'll let the shoulders relax. We're going to take one arm and give it a little shake, and then we're going to do some circles with that arm, as big a range of motion as you can do. So really giving yourself permission to get a little on the big side. One more time that way. Now if that range of motion is painful, don't do that bigger range of motion. Just shorten it up, make it a smaller circle. So we do a nice big circle going the other way. Sometimes when I do really big circles, my lip curls. It's very interesting to me. All right, so then we're going to do a really kind of a medium-sized circle. You can bend at the elbow and just do the upper arm, go the other direction. And then do a really teeny tiny circle. We're going to try to feel the muscle right here on the top of the shoulder. Stretch into it, go the other direction. And then stretch into it, and then drop that arm. All right, is there a difference between the two arms? I'm just noticing. And we're going to do the other side. So when you get there, big circles to the opposite arm. Reaching out. One more go in that direction, and then go the other way. And again, the range of motion is whatever is appropriate for your shoulder given the circumstances. Okay, more of a medium range of motion. And the other direction. And then a teeny, teeny, tiny range of motion. So we really feel the top of that shoulder. Stretch into it. Other direction. Stretch into it. And then give it a shake. All right, so we've done some shoulders, we've done the arms. Let's do some wrists. So we're going to make circles with the wrists. And then the other direction. And then we're going to do these little wave patterns with the wrist. It doesn't matter if it's perfect, just do it as best a wave as you can. Go the other direction, don't think about it too much. Don't get your brain involved, just try to do a little wave. And then you're going to stop. You can hold onto the fingers or the palm, you can include the thumb or leave it out. We're going to pull back so that we're bringing the hand towards the arm bone and we're stretching out the bottom. Only to the point where it feels appropriate. If it feels pinching or sharp or shooting, that's too far. If there's any heat or numbness, also too far. So now we're going to try to stretch the top of the arm. I put my thumb under here, and then I use my fingers to kind of press down, and then I'm reaching out through the top of that arm bone right there. Okay, and then give that guy a little shake. We'll do the other side. So we're going to pull this wrist back. Reach out through the arm. Feels good. And then the other side. Again, I'm reaching out through the arm bone and drawing the hand back. And then let it go. We're going to spread the fingers out really big as they'll go, and then squeeze them in. And spread them out. Try to get a little more space in between each of these digits as best you can. And then squeeze them in. And then one more time, stretch them out. See if you can make more space in between these smaller ones. And then squeeze them in. And we'll give them a little movement. Okay, make sure you're scooched forward far enough on your chair that you can round back and really kind of tilt the top of the pelvis backwards and hug in. And then we're going to tilt the top of the pelvis forward. We're going to broaden the chest and open up. So this is like a cobra pose, and this is like a cat pose. So pull in the elbows back, broadening the chest, tilting the pelvis forward, lifting at the breastbone, and then roll back, hug in your belly button, get all the air out, tilt the pelvis backwards so we can get some movement in both sides, the upper back and the lower back. Oh. A little bit of deeper ab work potentially, and definitely broadening across the chest. Oh, it feels so good. If you've been leaning over your sewing machine or leaning over a computer, it's nice to get that movement. Oh, 2 more. And up. And 1 more. Oh, good. So we're gonna come back to what feels like neutral. So again, we're feeling the sit bones, kind of sitting up on the sit bones. And then we're gonna do what I call the washing machine, or you could call it the agitator. We're just gonna go back and forth. Eventually, when everyone has front-loading washers, I'll have to come up with a new metaphor. But for now, I think we're okay. So going back and forth, back and forth. And the arms are just allowed to hang. So we're not moving at the arm like this. We're moving the rib cage. So really feeling yourself turn the ribs, and not too far. Just the amount that feels appropriate for your body. So we're gonna pause wherever you just twisted to. Pause right there. Press down into your sit bones, lift up through your breastbone. See if your upper back wants to twist a little bit more. If you start to feel yourself lean up off a sit bone, you've twisted too far. Your back doesn't go any farther. So pause there, root down through your sit bones. Oh, you can, if your chair has handles or armrests, or you can grab the back of your chair, you're welcome to do that as well. I like to pull the shoulder blade down, reach out through that arm, or maybe hold the chair. Take 1 more breath, lifting through the breastbone. Really get that air in, and then come on out. And we're gonna pause. Do a little bit of movement, just release the spine, not too big. When we twist, the discs release fluid, and then the fluid pulls back into the discs when we let go. So we're letting the discs just kind of get back to normal. So we're gonna do the opposite. So we'll do a couple of little 1, 2, and then twist the other direction. And again, once you're twisting, notice, am I picking my hip up? Put your hip back down nice and firm. Get a little taller, just the upper back twists. And then allow yourself to feel whether that's a good grip on the chair. You might put a hand in the middle or on the outside of the knee. I like to sometimes just let my arms hang and kind of reach into them. And it's this feeling of growing taller, breathing deep. Breathing deep in a twist is interesting, right? The diaphragm doesn't move as evenly or in the same way, so it feels a little different to breathe. And it makes us use a little bit more of the sort of bottom lobes of the lungs to get that full breath. All right, so then we're gonna let it go. Pause there. Feel your spine kind of return to neutral, and you can do little movements. That feels nice to me. Oh. Okay, we're gonna take the legs out wide. So we've done, the back moves in 6 different ways. So it does extension and flexion. We've done those 2 shapes. It does rotation to the left and rotation to the right. And the last movement it does is side flexing. So we're gonna bend the spine sideways. So the hip is gonna stay as rooted as we can. We're gonna take the arm over to add that extra bit of stretch through the tissue on the side of the waist and the side of the arm. And then we're gonna go the other way. So it sort of looks like we're a palm tree leaning over in the wind. So we're gonna go over this way. Oh, some people refer to this movement as blown palm, which I find delightful. But ultimately what we're doing is we're trying to move our spine through all of the movements that it has in its toolbox, so that we are keeping the spine supple. Oh, so 1 more time here, and then we're gonna stay put, and I'm reaching with my side waist. So it's almost like I'm trying to hug in to zip up a really tight pair of pants or lace up a corset. That accesses my deeper abs. I can still take a breath because I'm trying to access the abdominal muscles that live on the sides of my waist. And especially at the end of that exhale, hug in and give yourself that little extra bit of length. 1 more breath. This helps support the spine, so I'm gonna hug in, come all the way up, give myself a moment just to feel. So I feel like I'm still leaning that way. So I'm gonna take a moment, do these little movements, feel the discs kind of redistribute fluid. Feels pretty good right about now. And then I'm gonna go the other way. So I'll take this palm tree over this direction. I'm resting on my leg for a moment just to find the right space, and then reach into it and feel yourself draw in through the sides of the waist. And breathing. When you exhale, just hug and lengthen a little more. When you inhale, Let yourself take that full breath, and then exhale, lift and hug and stretch. 2 more. Last big breath. And then exhale, hug in nice and snug, and come all the way up. And then, we'll let that go. All right, so we've done some good things for our spine. We've done a few things for our shoulders. Before we move on to hips, we're gonna do one more shoulder stretch. So to do that, I'm gonna take one arm behind my back. Now, some of us might get this far. Some of us might get so far that the palm comes, or the back of the hand comes all the way up to the neck. So you're gonna get your arm behind your back however far it goes. It might hang out here on the side. It might be able to go more centered up your back. The important part is that we get this arm bone, the upper arm bone, as close to the waist as possible. So once you've gotten your upper arm bone hugged in, you're gonna draw your shoulder blade down. We're gonna sit up nice and tall. We're gonna try to keep from doing strange things with the neck. And we're just gonna feel this stretch that happens right through the top of the shoulder and the chest. If you feel a pain in your elbow, then you wanna move your hand. That's not the right positioning. You might need to go down lower so that your hand is behind your sacrum instead of behind your back. Your sacrum is the back of your pelvis. Your hips. Just in case all that jargon is new. The back of your hips. So we're gonna take one more big breath and see if you can take this collarbone and just open it a little wider without causing any trouble. Then we're gonna take that arm out from behind us and bring it across. Now you can hold onto your upper arm this way, and what you're gonna do with your shoulder blade, my shoulder blade wants to go forward, I'm gonna pull it back down. Hopefully you can see that. The other possibility is that I can wrap my arms and hold on in some fashion. Some people could put their palms together. I don't have that kind of range of motion, but I can grab my thumb. So you're gonna take the elbows out and lift it up if you're doing this version, and then draw those shoulder blades back down into your back. If you're doing this version, hold your arm nice and firm and draw the shoulder blade down. So both versions work. And we're getting this stretch through the deltoids and the upper arm and up under the shoulder blade, kind of moving some of that tissue. Sometimes when we're sleeping or when we're static for a while, we're working at the sewing machine or the computer, we actually get some sticky tissue that lives under the shoulder blade. So this helps release it. Okay, so release that arm. And we're gonna do one more stretch for this arm. So I'm gonna take my arm over my head if I can. I'm gonna hug the arm bone in as close to my face as possible. And then I'm gonna see how high can I lift the elbow. I'm trying to stretch these triceps right here. So I'm getting a nice stretch on the back of my arm, sitting up tall, reaching up through that elbow. Try not to do things to your neck or your head that cause trouble for you. My head's just allowed to kind of float in this little box I've created with my arms. If you can't get your arm up all the way, you can push from the bottom. That'll work just fine. Or you can just hold the one arm. That'll work too. Wherever the elbow winds up is where it lands. So we're gonna take one more big breath and then release that arm and give it a little rinse. And so shaking sometimes is a great way to release any tension from the muscle. Sometimes when we stretch things, the nervous system actually tightens us up. And so when we release the stretch, if we give it that little bit of movement, it helps relax the nervous system, and it helps the stretch actually kind of have more, a longer lasting relaxation for the body. All right, so we're gonna take this arm behind us, other arm. And again, you might have, this is my arm where I've had some injuries in this shoulder. And so it doesn't go the same as the other. It tends to wanna lean forward. There's scar tissue under my shoulder blade. And so my hand is lower, so I have more opportunity to move the arm without hurting my elbow. I'm still gonna try to draw that shoulder blade in nice and snug into my back, even though I feel quite a lot of resistance. It's not so much resistance that I'm in pain. My jaw can stay relaxed. I can breathe deeply. If your body tightens up or you feel any sharp shooting, burning, numbness, or tingling, those are indications that you're pushing too hard or you're doing a range of motion that's not appropriate. So please back off if that's the case. And if you can go further, go further. So one more breath with this stretch. Again, the shoulder blade goes down. We're trying to lengthen through this collarbone. Just bring that collarbone out. And then we're gonna take that arm out from behind, give it a little rinse. And this one comes across. So I might just hold on with the upper arm, hold on to my upper arm, pull that shoulder blade down against the resistance. I might wrap the arms and hold on to the elbow. And again, once my arms are up, I'm drawing my shoulder blades onto my back. We're not trying to squeeze them together per se. We're not trying to create any sort of tension in the upper back. We're mostly trying to return them to neutral. So the arms are working against neutral, and we're working toward neutral with the movement, and that creates the stretch. So we're not necessarily trying to become hypermobile, which can be problematic, but just as mobile as we can be within reason and our genetic predispositions. Take one more big breath. Whew. All right, so now we're going to do this last stretch, which is the triceps. So we're going to, again, hug the elbow towards the head. See how far up that elbow is willing to go. Press down into your sit bones, lengthen up through your elbow. So we're stretching in two directions through the center of the body. And again, your head shouldn't be in any kind of weird predicament. So we're not trying to strain the neck or strain the head in any way. Nice and loose and easy. Just working the back of this arm in whatever way the back of your arm says is okay to work it. And one more big breath. Let that go, and then we're going to release the arm and again give it a little shake out. And then just notice for you, does it feel like that, the little movement we did earlier and then this last stretch here, does it feel like we have released the shoulders and the arms in a way that feels good to you? Then keep those. Put those little stretches in your back pocket and do them during your day. If those did not work for you, put them off to the side. It's a yoga buffet. You take what you like. So now we're going to grab one leg and bring it up, and if you can hold it, hold onto it like this. If you can't hold your leg, you're going to balance yourself on your tiptoes, and you're just going to move the leg back and forth. What we want is movement right here in this hip socket. So if you can hold your leg, I'm going to scoot a little further forward on my chair. Then you're going to rock your baby like this. So again, I'm moving the bone in the hip socket. My hips are stable, just my leg is moving. I don't want any pain in my knee. A flexed foot is helpful for that. So if you flex your foot, that can provide more support for your knee. Now see how high you can lift this leg? You're going to bring the other leg in and you're going to put it on top. Now I like about the middle of my shin. Some people are going to be more comfortable with an ankle, and some people more comfortable near the knee, and some people will be more comfortable with the shin going across the opposite leg rather than up on the thigh. So you might even just cross at the ankle. Either way, we have an external rotation of the femur bone in the hip socket. That's fancy science talk. But that's the important movement, okay? So then feel. Do you feel a stretch somewhere in this outer hip, in your glute? If you do, you're there. You don't have to go any further. If you don't feel any sensation in your hip, lean into it. So we're going to bring the top of the pelvis forward. That's going to pull these muscles a little bit tighter, and we might feel a stretch. Again, numbness or tingling, especially in the foot or the leg, means we're pulling too hard. Release the pose a bit. Go a little softer. It's going to treat you better. Again, you can flex the foot to create a little more structure around the knee. That mostly just keeps these leg bones nice and stable so that the little ligaments that hold the knee together are stabilized. And then we're going to take one more big breath here. Now we're going to bring the leg in towards us and hold on if you can to the thigh. Again, you may not be able to hold the leg, then you can just extend it out. If you can hold the leg and bring it up, do, and then twist the foot. So we're releasing the ankle joint, one more, and then go the other direction. And it's just whatever range of motion your ankle is capable of. I try to do a couple as big as I can and then some lighter ones. And then point and flex your foot. Now we're going to extend this leg as far as it'll go. You can, if you have a bigger range of motion, hold on to your big toe. If you have less range of motion, you just extend the leg out like that. We're looking for a stretch across the back of the thigh, right in this area. Lift up nice and tall. Ooh, it feels good. One more breath there. And then we're going to release this leg. Now we're going to do the other side, and then we'll do one more movement for the hips here today. So grab your other baby, give it a rock. Oh. We're going to hug it in as high as we can hug it. Lift up nice and tall. Figure out where that's gonna fit best and sit up. Now for me, this hip is a lot tighter. It has more muscle than the other hip. And so I feel it sooner on this side than I do on the other side. I don't have to tilt forward quite as far to come into the same amount of sensation. So you're monitoring one side and the other. Don't assume you're gonna be symmetrical, and don't be pushy. Come to where your body is today, rather than trying to push your body where you want it to go. That usually comes from the ego rather than from what the body is asking for. At least this is my experience. Okay, last breath. And then we're gonna back off a little bit, grab hold of that leg if you can, extend it if you can't, and then spin that foot so we get the nice ankle circles. Oh, those are delightful. I love ankle circles. Go the other direction. They just make my foot feel really good and my ankle joint feel nice and soft and loose. And then we're gonna point and flex. Oh. And again, you'll extend this leg to the degree that makes sense to you, whether you're extending it by just extending it out onto the floor straight or you're holding onto it. Lift up a bit so you've got some nice tall spine. Toes make great handles if you can reach them. Oh. And I'm kind of pulling my toes back and reaching through my heels so I can get my calf muscles too. Last breath there. And then we'll release that leg. Oh, give it a little jiggle. All right, so we're gonna do a little side angle pose for each side. So to do this, we're gonna turn a little bit sideways on our chair and we're gonna back up. So what I've got is that my knee is right on the edge of the chair, and this sit bone and my whole buttock really, let's face it, everything is hanging off the edge over here. That's important because it'll let me have a bigger range of motion in this hip. So for me, this might be enough. This knee is bent, this leg is straight. So you can do it this way. You can, or I'm sorry, this knee is right over the chair. This leg is, just like a 90-degree angle apart. Or you can extend this leg out straight this way. Or if you have a bigger range of motion, we're gonna rotate in a little bit through that thigh. So we're gonna rotate it that way and then extend the leg out to the side. Now my foot is all the way on the floor. I don't know if you can see that as well, but I'm pressing down into the ground with this foot. This foot's a little off the ground because I'm short. So what I have instead for me is I have a block here. And I can put my foot on that block. So I've got a good solid base. I'm gonna press my feet into the floor. I'm gonna put my elbow here. I'm gonna rotate open and stretch. And I wanna stretch this area of my hip right here, nice and big. Oh, it feels nice. And then you can rotate a little bit back and forth. Kind of open this space right in that area. Adjust your foot so that it doesn't hurt your knee and press your foot into the ground. So we're feeling almost like a lift in the inner thigh here. Oh, last breath. All right, so I'm gonna come back, so warrior two. And with my warrior two, I'm gonna take my palms up and try to relax the shoulders a bit, but lift through the heart. So we're feeling strong and steady. And then we'll do a little reverse warrior here. Oh, and then we'll do the opposite side. So to do the opposite side, I'm just gonna turn around so that I'm off the other end. Again, I'm sliding back as far as I can. I have a block for myself. This leg can stay there. This leg can go out. We can rotate this in like that and press the leg into the ground a little farther back. So you're finding the right amount of stretch, elbow to the thigh, and then reach this area out into the stretch. We're trying to get the hip flexors, the deep muscle called the iliopsoas, and all of the abs on the outside. all going together into the stretch. Lift through your inner thigh, lengthen through your shoulders. If you can. If you need your arm out of it, just put your hand on your hip and lengthen through the torso. Oh, 2 more big breaths. I'm not resting on my thigh, but my arm is here so I can press into it and get the length. Inhale your way up. There's our warrior two. You can try the palms down, shoulders relaxed, nice and strong. Lift through your heart. I'm going to rotate a little bit this way for my reverse warrior so I'm more matched with my hip. Oh, and then we're going to come back, bring that leg around. Oh, bring that leg around. We're going to give this a little jiggle. Oh. That pose feels so nice. I like to call it flossing because, you know, like if you get a seed stuck in your teeth and you floss it out and you're like, oh, that feels good. That's how I feel about this pose, that side angle and warrior sequence. So we're gonna do one last pose, which is a wide angle forward bend. Legs out nice and wide. Fold. It might be that you just go to the elbows. You might come all the way in. You might even be able to bend at the elbow and get a little further over. Judge it based on how your back feels. Nice deep breaths. Shake out your neck. All right, yogis, we're going to take the hands to the thighs. We're going to come up so that the back feels like it's steady, and then we're coming all the way up. So that's the end of our chair yoga practice together. You can use this time now that you've had some opportunities to do some conscious movement to relax. You could stretch out on the floor. You can put your legs over the chair, like a legs up the wall, but legs on the chair. You can also do a seated meditation practice, which is what my favorite often is after chair yoga, because you just come back to that mudra we did at the beginning, the mudra of calm abiding. Let yourself pause for a few moments and feel the impact of your practice, and allow yourself that time to have a little mental clarity before you go back into your day. So if you're joining me for lunchtime, enjoy your lunch. Namaste, yogis. Have a great day.